a new prime driver. Been driving about 6 months. Big flatbed. Shout out to my boy Dan the man, the best. I ain't gonna say the best, but he's pretty good. Pretty good. Thanks for tuning in. You are now watching the Prime Safety Meeting. We're gonna get at you in 3, 2, 1.
Good Friday morning. Today's Friday, February 4th, 2022, and this is your Friday safety meeting. My name is Dennis Davis. I work in the safety department. With me this morning is David White, another one of our safety supervisors. Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Dennis. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Ready to get this kicked off?
Number 3.
This is number 3 of kind of our transition from down in our normal spot, which is in our cafeteria in front of the people. We had to pivot to make sure that everybody stays safe due to the increasing rates of the COVID-19. But hey, hopefully we'll get back soon. But we've been kind of moving around the building. First week we were up in our sales department. A lot of those associates were working remote, and so we had some free space in that area. Last week, where were we last week? We were up
upstairs, reefer operations.
In reefer operations.
Between reefer operations, tanker, and flatbed, we're right in the middle of it.
Right in the precipice of it all. Right. Talking to some good folks. And this week we're basically at home. We're right here in the Z building, ground level, right next to the pillars. We're in the safety department. So this is a working set. So from time to time, you may see a driver or an in-house associate walk by here perfectly fine. We can adjust. Everything is good to go. So, we're going to have a great lineup of guests that are going to come with us and converse. We've got Oakland Morrison from Reefer Operations. He's going to come talk about some of what we got going on in reefer operations. We may even slip in a question about some regional opportunities to him. We're going to have Jeff Chisholm, our neighbor down here in the safety department, that's going to come and talk to us from the cargo planes. And of course, we're going to have one of our friends from the maintenance department.
Justin Kaufman will be here to talk a little bit about road assist and, what to watch out for. We found out this week, Dennis, winter hits Missouri.
Winter hits Missouri.
Oh
so,
gosh,
you can't see out the window, but we've got a awesome view of our gorgeous facility. I'm not a big fan of snow, but the aesthetics of it is pretty cool. The sun kind of shining off of it. The snow's kind of packed up. I think we got about 7 inches of snow here in Springfield over the last 48 hours.
You were just bragging how you shoveled your own driveway by yourself.
Well, that's not a necessity.
Man,
not out of
building
desire.
up those arms again. You know what I mean? So no, we've had an interesting week, no doubt about it, and we're so fortunate here. Many of our associates are able to work from the house, so they didn't have to take these treacherous roads in. And you and I were able to make it in. You live relatively close, and I'm lucky I got a decent truck with 4-wheel drive, which helps out, but had to go very slow to make it in and make it back home again. But it's been an interesting week, so to speak. And, I was reading about this storm. What's the name of this winter storm they got? You remember that name? You mentioned it.
Is it Keenan?
Keenan, something like that. Well, whatever. It's from all the way up in Montreal, Quebec, down all the way down to Texas. So talking Canada to Texas. This thing's big. And right now it's moving towards the east. Luckily, we're out of it. It looks like the sun's coming out here. Hopefully we get to 30 degrees today. It'd be nice and get a little melting maybe out on our roads. But it's been treacherous out there. There's no doubt about it.
We read articles and got alerts from MoDOT, the Missouri Department of Transportation, that, they're going to do their very best. They're shorthanded due to staffing and due to illness.
They are.
Just the roads around here, you come in off 44, I think, and
44.
I come in off 65. Once I got to 65, everything looked to be in good order, but, it was a little bit of a challenge getting to the interstate. So we had some challenges last night from an accident standpoint. We're transparent. One thing that I've noticed is that in these bigger storms, the decision is pretty easy. We shut down.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, the captain of the ship mentality, and no matter what your experience level is, we don't want you to outdrive your experience. So a major storm like this, the decision is pretty easy. It's these smaller storms where there's a little bit of can I make it? Can I not make it? I don't want to let anybody down, where we find ourselves in trouble. Now, the other part of that is, I think maybe last night we got a little bit of cabin fever. We had drivers that
Sit for a while.
made that decision to shut it down, but we started to get the itch to run, and maybe the roads weren't quite where they needed to be, and we had some situations.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And think about it. If you're out there and you see snow plows and such, let them do their job. Stay out of their way, of course. But like daylight today, they're out there, and I saw them this morning. They're hitting it pretty hard, laying down a lot of salt. Here in Missouri, our road crews and our state depends upon Mother Nature a lot for melting.
Right.
We don't have the equipment and the crews like they do up north in Iowa, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan. And so, usually the roads in this section gets a little rough sometimes when the winter hits. And that was evident the last couple of days here. So, and our operators did well. Yesterday in safety, you and I were the only ones here. And it was relatively quiet overall. We had a number of our associates working from the home, and there wasn't that many accidents put in. But yeah, I think what you said was spot on about cabin fever. Hey, once you've been here, been sitting for a while, you want to get rolling again, try to get out, and maybe I can get out of this. And if we're heading west, probably going to get out of it a little bit quicker. And not always is those decisions are the correct ones. So really look at the weather, look at what's going on, and talk to other drivers that are coming in. If you're sitting at a truck stop or a rest area, some of those drivers coming in, they'll tell you what the roads are. And, hey, maybe you want to hold off on another couple hours. And that's some of the best advice you can get. But also use your phone. And there's a lot of other technology out there, Dennis. You can look at road maps for states. They do so much better job nowadays updating what the road conditions are. And if they're covered, probably better to sit it out and wait a little bit longer, get to that partially covered or clear. That's the best, of course. But, yeah. Well, and one thing before we get rolling too far, I want to give a big shout out to all of our new associates here this week too. Thank you for coming into Prime. You're getting the best training available out there. There's no doubt about it. And our current drivers are out there hauling the freight. You guys are what rocks this company. There's no doubt. If you're not even associated with Prime and you're looking at a driving career, by all means, give us a call. Our recruiting number is 888-664-9121. So give them a call. If you just have questions, you're not even 100% sure you want to get into trucking, give them a call, get that rapport set up with that recruiter. And you don't have to come in immediately next week or two. Maybe you want to wait a month or so. Maybe you got a job, you got to finish out that job, you're looking at a different line of employment. Hey, give them a call, see what we're all about. Because, a lot of information out there. We've got a great website to look at. And a lot of different jobs, even in-house jobs too, that are available for people locally, or if you're out of Pittston or Salt Lake, hey, look at those too as well. So company with a lot of opportunities right here, Dennis, no doubt about it.
Man, we're going to shift you right into HR. You got it right.
HR, I thought you put me in recruiting next. Oh, that too.
Hey, so let's transition right into the conversation.
Yep.
About safety. Every week we talk about our inspection numbers and how that impacts the driver, how that impacts the company, and then specifically exactly what the numbers are. So I think it was your week this week, was it?
No, it's Bill's.
Bill's?
Yeah, Bill's over here working, doing what we're not doing.
Right.
So, hey, Bill's covering for us right now. But we had 136 inspections this past week. 91 of those were clean. So 67% clean rate, which is pretty darn good. We're happy with that number. Couple of issues that we saw a little bit more than normal, missing scales. Make sure you know where those scales are at. Get yourself a motor carrier atlas. I know having a GPS and having routing is really nice to have, and it makes your job a little bit easier. There's no doubt about that. But you also need to know where those scales are, especially the permanent ones. And that motor carrier atlas will have that in there for each state, the red dot, and that's where those scales are at. So, for instance, you're heading Springfield today, and you're going to go to Chicago. First one's going to be right up here at St. Clair, up here towards just right outside St. Louis. And that's going to be your first scale. And make sure you know that. And don't forget that when you're going down the highway, be prepared just in case you have to pull in. If you get the green light and you can go on by all means, go on by. But if you don't, hey, stop, get in there, don't miss it. So,
one question we always get with the scales, what happens if, you get some conflicting information, you get the green light, but there's an illuminated sign that says all trucks must exit, or vice versa. What's the
if you get a mixed signal in your cab from your pre-pass, you get or you miss the signal, or the pre-pass doesn't even come up a light. By all means, if you're questioning, just pull in. You're always safer to pull in. And if they don't, they weigh in, just move you on, and that's it. You're on your way. If any type of indecision like that, you better be safe than sorry. You don't want that officer coming after you at the end of the day. So
And real quick, that we're pretty particular about our record. No different than any individual driver is going to be particular about their record. And when we pass one of those inspection stations, one of those scales, it weighs heavy on both our record and our driver's record. Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, any type of violation you get will go against us as a carrier and you as a driver, and you don't want that on your record. That's just like a MVR getting a moving violation. You want to keep your record as clean as possible when you're trucking. So, and that's what we want too. So it's important to note, hey, anything happens to you happens to us. And that's why sometimes we'll call you in and we'll sit down. We'll talk about them if we see an issue. Missing the scale is a big issue. Not wearing your seatbelt's a big issue. Not wearing your seatbelt properly. And a lot of drivers, sometimes you may want to take your arm and put it over the strap because it's a little bit easier, it feels a little bit better, but that's not wearing it properly. They need it over the shoulder. And, same thing, even if you're just looking at your cell phone. Oh, my cell phone moved, I'm going to move it. That officer sees you, the cell phone in your hand, that's a violation. They'll stop you for it. So those go on our record, and they go on yours as a driver. Nobody wants that. Right. So let's be safe and let's do it the right way.
Hey, just real quick, parking. You and I were looking at the MoDOT website to get a grasp on kind of what the road conditions were. The storm hadn't quite hit us yet, but we were checking out up north along I-70 around Columbia. We pull up the traffic cam, and what do we see? We see a Prime parked on the shoulder. Yep. So what's kind of the coaching behind that?
Well, if you have a mechanical breakdown, obviously you got to pull over. Right. What we want you to do, put on your four ways, get out your triangles. If it's on interstate highway, they got to go behind the truck 10 feet, 100 feet, and then another like 100 or 200 feet behind there. Try to space that out accordingly. Obviously, you're not going to get out a tape measure and get anything specific, but, try to space that out and, call for help. Get a hold of road assist, back you up, things like that. What's it? Oh, okay. And so, so look, make sure when you're parking legally. You're not parking, you're not parking, in a rest area. Many times the ramps and all that you can't park on. You got to get inside the rest area. So make sure you're reading the signs because that's just an easy one for the officers to follow up on. I think we got a couple guests we need to get up here. Let's do this.
Before we get to the guests, I think we got some accolades we need to talk about.
Well, let's get to the guests first because I think maybe they can bring the accolades.
Oh, well, let's
do that.
What do we got first?
Let's bring up Robert and Steve here. I think they got a couple. They must have a few things going on.
Thanks
Sorry about that. The lack of communication on my part.
We called an audible.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We've got a very important conference call with a large customer, so we better be on time.
There you go.
We like getting some of that freight, right?
That's
Steve?
the way we run. We'll get some more.
If you're not early, you're late. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Well, I can't actually see you, but it's good to talk to you all. You're doing a heck of a job out there. We've had a lot of weather this week, and for the most part, we've kept them shiny side up. So appreciate your efforts out there.
Yeah, I think as far as the sales group is concerned, it is all about safety. It always is, but certainly when we see the weather that you all are fighting right now, it's tough, and we want you to be safe, get secure, take care of yourselves, and we'll work with the customers on late deliveries or whatever is concerned there. So no worries. We thank you very much for what you do. Business is still really good. I think we're in for a great year. We just don't need to have any accidents. Just don't try to be a hero. Pull over, get safe. There's not a load so important that you put yourself at risk. So please keep that in mind. I think this weather is finally going to break next week.
Well, I hope so. Steve, it's not just the snow and ice, but it's these extremely cold temperatures. So keep that fuel treated. Don't let anything gel up on you because that's a miserable fix when that happens. So just keep it treated up to about 10 below, something like that, and you'll be just fine. And the reefer too.
Yeah, it's really nice to be out here talking to you all today. We've had strategic planning here this week, kind of looking forward to see what next year might bring, how we can improve our overall offering to our driver base and become a better partner. we think we're fairly good in some ways, but we also know we can get a lot better. So that's kind of what we've been working on this week, and hopefully we'll have some very good outcomes for you all to share for the coming year.
Yeah, we're good. We're going to get better because of your efforts and the job you do out there. So thank you very much. Steve, we probably get up there and get on the phone with these guys.
Besides that, we got really more important people coming. You got a fleet manager coming here that's representing his group, and honestly, there's probably not a more important job than fleet managing. So I'm sure that Oakland has some good information for all of our
He's
operators.
a darn good one too, Steve.
He is. We got a lot of good ones. So thank you all. Be safe.
All right.
And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Dave.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Robert. Steve? We just made a big pivot right there, man. We did pretty good, I think, on that one. Hey, yeah, set us up. No doubt about it. It's great. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize, you got the owner of the company right here.
Right here.
9,000 drivers, about 7,000 trucks. And here he is at a safety meeting at a Friday morning.
Friday morning.
He's got to go
8
talk to a
o'clock,
customer. They're taking off right now. They're
7 inches of snow on the ground.
Exactly.
He could have been anywhere in the world he wanted to be, but he was right here.
We love having him, and there's no doubt that's how Prime runs there. It was Robert, and what Robert says goes, and it's great having a boss right down the hallway, and he's here every day, and working out in the gym or in his office or in these meetings. He's always busy, and we're just proud to have him here and have him involved with us. So.
I think that's one of the reasons why 7 years in a row we were named
top 20 or top 10 trucking companies to drive for, best fleets to drive for. Sorry, I messed that up, but for the TCA, that is awesome. And you know what happened this past week? As a matter of fact, it happened last night. I don't even know if Robert and Steve knew about it, but got inducted in the Hall of Fame. First ever Hall of Fame Prime did. 7 years of in a row for being the best fleet to drive for, in the top 10. Not only that, one of those, we were the top fleet to drive for. So congrats to all of our drivers out there. It's not you or me doing this, that's for sure. It's
I had a little smart part.
Yeah. But man, it's a lot of stuff that we do here. Big thanks to Mitch for putting all this together, because we do so much here at Prime, and Mitch and Amy have to pull all this information, all these programs they put in, driver health and wellness, and highway diamonds, and truck driving, everything, truck driving champions, the whole 9 yards. And there's a lot of stuff we do here. Profitability they look at. Mitch was telling me.
It's always cool to look at those presentations. Sometimes, whether you're a fleet manager or whether you're a sales coordinator, whether you work in recruiting, sometimes you have blinders on. And you're really focused on, what you do in your department and what your specific tasks are, and you don't, open your mind up and you see some of the other great things that we have going on. But when you read these reports and you see awards like this, like you said, the truck driving championship, the 1,000,000 mile program, the highway diamonds, the constant, well, not these days, but holiday parties, the picnics, you name it. I mean, there's always, from a culture standpoint, something going on here. And I haven't even mentioned, how good we are in the industry, providing excellent service. We're doing it safely. The profitability of our operators is second to none. We didn't even talk about that. We just talked about the unique things that we have that just going on from a culture standpoint that, we all miss so much, as a result of COVID. So.
What Prime reminds me of, and I've had some opportunities in my earlier career working at smaller companies, reminds me of a big company, but we do small company things.
Yeah.
Like that, truck driving champions. We do picnics, we do holiday parties. I mean, and drivers are invited with their spouses along with the in-house associates, and it's an awesome event. I can't wait till we can get back to them, because we haven't had them in so many years with this COVID going on. But we will get back to it. There's no doubt about it. And being able to share time with our drivers, because they're the ones that drive this company. They're the ones that make it work. And us in-house folks, we try to support them the best we can and make them, choose, help them out in their business decisions, help them out in safety, help them out maintenance side, all that. And but it's up to them to get it done, and they do a great job for us.
Absolutely. So hey, let's get it rolling.
Let's get somebody else up here besides you and me chit chat.
Robert and Steve talked about some, as we call them, a 10, scale of 1 to 10. Prime likes to bring in 10s. And we've got Oakland Morrison here. Oakland, come on up, and we'll let Oakland tell his story a little bit. But Oakland the 10, he's got some family members that work and have worked here, but Oakland, tell us a little bit about yourself. First, for those that don't know who you are, tell us where you work and what you do.
I'm a fleet manager, and I've been here for almost 12 years now, and a fleet manager for like 10 and a half years. I was Dennis's night coverage a long time ago. I have a brother that works here in logistics and his wife that works in accounting. So
Kind of a family affair.
yeah, we're taking over.
Well, hold on. well, good. So what did you do before you came to Prime?
I was a dispatcher and purchaser at a block and brick company here in Springfield, and I did that for about 5 years.
Then you decided to make that transition over. Like you said, you earn your stripes working at night, calling, texting me while I'm at home trying to sleep.
I didn't bother you one time.
But, with that said, it just kind of gives credence to what we do here at Prime. There's not a lot of times that, folks that are in your role step right into that role. No matter what the experience that you have before you get here, I mean, you gotta kind of start the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah, because there's a lot that goes on and you're in charge of and have to be able to take care of. So, yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, so, speaking about that, kind of take us real quick on what a normal day is like from a fleet manager beginning to the time you take off.
Well, I'll talk about today. So with all the weather stuff, the first things we do is go through all of our trucks and find out any issues from last night. Our night dispatch coverage will send us notes on some of the important stuff. And then as we run through our fleets, we're looking about who's running behind or needs some help with something. And we'll get with the drivers and line up the day so it runs pretty smoothly and we can handle all the problems. Today, one of the biggest things that would help out is drivers giving their ETAs when they are able to roll. We're going to be asking you for ETAs, and that's not to push you to get to rolling. It's just customers are needing the communication on when their load's going to be delivered. So if you can just communicate that, it'd help us out on the inside.
There you go. So, you talked about kind of what your process is throughout the day. You've got a really good reputation with your drivers, and even drivers in other fleets really look up to you for leadership and call you and ask you questions. Not once did you mention this big stack of loads you got in the morning that you can give out to your favorite drivers, right?
Well,
Is that how it works?
I don't have any favorite drivers. I like them all. They're all good. But as a fleet manager, I don't plan the freight. Sales will plan the freight, and I look it over, make sure it's a good fit for my driver because they might have some special needs that they need for a specific load or that time of the week, and I will help communicate that to sales and line that up. And then I will just send it out to my driver, and most of them are great with the choices that I make and runs pretty smooth.
Well, good deal.
Now, Oakland, if you're going to put your finger on one thing that's the most important for drivers to do working with their fleet manager, what would you say that would be?
It's communication, like building a relationship with your fleet manager, because that is probably the biggest thing that's going to help you be successful is the communication and the relationship with your driver or your fleet manager. So.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to get out there? I'm going to let you make a shameless plug for yourself if you need to. Any information that you feel like drivers need to know?
Just communication, like the weather, the sales assistants are going to have a ton of reschedules to do. So we need your help to get that information to them quickly and get you guys' appointments rescheduled so you're not stuck on the load longer than you have to be.
Hey, just real quick before you get out of here, you brought up weather, and we always want to address this. Of course, every driver is the captain of the ship, but let's look at it from your perspective. You've got FedEx loads, you've got meat loads that are just in time freight where they're grading us to the minute arrival. You've got high value from 1 to 5. Are any of these loads that you've got dispatched on your trucks right now or in the future? Are you telling them or pressuring them or even being passive to say, hey, man, if you can navigating this crazy weather, go ahead and go. Kind of what's your mindset as it comes
I
to
never push a driver beyond his capabilities. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, you need to get rolling. The customer wants this really bad or needs it for production. I'm going to support you and your abilities. So you communicate that with me. And, it's whenever you're comfortable to drive in those situations, you let me know and we'll get with the customer and let them know our ETA.
Good deal. Well, hey, Oakland, we know we've stolen you away from your fleet for about 30 minutes now, and your Qualcomm's probably stacking up. You probably got some coverage, but, those folks need you. Friday's a big day, so appreciate you being with us.
Thanks.
Take care, buddy. Thank you for coming down.
All right.
Appreciate
Guys.
it. Yep. Oakland brings up a good point about drive to your ability.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned that. And that's the important part of us here at safety, because we got drivers just starting out brand new, and we got 15, 20, 30-year drivers, 4 or 5 million-mile drivers out there. And, and that's what we've always said from the get-go in safety, drive to your ability and drive to the conditions of the weather and the roads that you're on. And, I love it. What I'm saying is do your best, do what within your ability.
Exactly.
And that's an important part to hear that from a fleet manager.
Yeah, you and I were giving old Mitch a hard time this morning. Mitch is a younger guy, probably only had his license 5 years. We're like, dude's only been driving 5 winters. He may have some problems getting in today.
He may have problems shoveling out his car.
But hey, he's here. We're live, so he was able to get it done.
Yep.
So. Where you want to go next? Who do we got up?
Let's bring up Justin Kaufman in maintenance, because maintenance is such a big thing going on, especially when it gets cold like this. Come on in here,
right.
Justin. How you
How's
doing,
it going,
buddy?
guys?
Good.
All
Yourself?
right.
Nice
Thanks
seeing
for
you.
having me. Yeah, you
I
too.
haven't seen you in a while.
It
I
has
know. I
been.
see you walking around.
Yeah.
You're always here. You're one of these guys that's kind of like Dennis and I and Bill. You're always here, but you're in and out. And we
Yeah.
never have a seat, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
feel
you.
free.
All right.
So how long you been here with Prime?
About 20 years, believe it or not. Time flies. Yeah.
He's one of us. I didn't
Yeah,
think that. Look as young as this. You still look like you're in 6th grade playing baseball or something.
Oh, thank you.
No,
That's awful
how old are you?
generous. 44. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
He's older than that, isn't he?
yeah, time gets away from you,
does,
So
When it's always that point where, and you and I will probably be coming to that point soon, where you've been at this company almost half your life,
right.
and that's crazy to think about, but that's pretty cool. I'm right there in that same boat. Had a red shirt a couple year and a half, so I just whole total reached the 20-year mark, and I'm almost at that point where I've been here almost half my life. So
Yeah, I tell you, I've seen a lot of awesome changes. We have grown so much and adapted. Whenever I came here, I was fresh out of college. So I was working on trucks throughout college and working on farms, local farms. And so I kind of got acclimated to, maintenance, truck maintenance. And then, really, whenever I graduated from college and working on farms, I had an intention to go to work for Case International or John Deere. But working on the trucks, I had a good friend working here. He's like, you need to come over here and interview at Prime. And so I was thankful and that I got an opportunity to start here.
So what's kind of your maturation process? Where'd you start and what do you do now?
Yeah, so I started off in the tractor shop, kind of like as an administrative assistant to the director of maintenance, doing just basic administrative jobs. Moved over into into the shop where worked with the shop foreman, and then I got involved with warranty. And so from warranty, I moved into Road Assist and doing POs and became the Road Assist manager in 2007. And then later, after that, became the warranty manager in 2007, and then later was offered a position for Road Assist.
So here's a little story. Back when Jerry Miller was here, Jerry was
Yeah.
over our Road Assist department.
Mm-hmm.
And just like I do with Justin and Jared Hall and even Tyler Patrick, I'll call him when I need some advice on accidents. What caused this? What caused that? But back then, I used to call Jerry all the time. And Jerry was it, man. He's a point man. And so I talked to Jerry one day. He goes, "Hey, Dave, I got to tell you something. I'm going to be retiring here pretty soon." I said, "Oh, no, where are you going?" He goes, "I'm just going to retire. I've had a military career." And by the way, Jerry, if you're watching, love you, buddy. Hopefully your retirement's still going well. But he goes, "There's a new guy that's going to be taking over. His name's Justin Kaufman." I go, "Who?" So I pull up his picture in the pop-up. I go, "Is this kid out of high school yet?" And he starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "But he's the real deal. He knows a lot of information." And that's, ever since then, man, great having you, because you do help us out, man. What, how'd this happen? If there's a brake issue or whatever, on guard issue, or now assurance, from the Freightliner side, or Bendix, or what, Justin's our go-to guy, man. And you're able to explain to us people that are not mechanics, break it down in layman's terms, and it makes a big difference here.
Thank you very much. I'll say that we have a fabulous team, fabulous maintenance team. I'm fortunate to have a lot of great people, like you mentioned, Jared Hall and all those guys, who work for me. So, those guys help coach me up and get me going too. So.
Hey, so, we talked about this winter storm that stretched from, New Mexico, Texas, all the way up into Maine. So what's the coaching that you're giving drivers in inclement weather? Of course, the safety aspect, but give me some quick tips. Brakes freezing up, treating fuel, whatever you got for me.
Well, the first one is, and I actually called a couple of my advisors before coming up here, but the first one is obviously fuel treatment. As diesel fuel starts to as diesel fuel gets into temps below freezing, paraffins can start to gel, diesel fuel can start to cloud. And so it's just important that we know where we're buying fuel and make sure that it's treated. Now, all of Prime's terminals are, selling treated fuel, but if you get it at a truck stop, who knows whether it's really treated or not. It's always better to err on the side of safety, and I would go ahead and treat that fuel that you're getting at a truck stop. As far as fuel treatment options, we sell Penray Power R Plus at all of our terminals, winter conditioner. And I think, as Robert had alluded to whenever he was up here, it's so important that you don't just treat your truck tanks, but you treat the reefer too, because as those reefers start to, as they get dropped into colder temperatures, they can start to gel. On the road, you're not always going to find Penray Power R Plus. So Power Service is a good option. Comes in a white bottle, but make sure you follow the instructions on the back of the bottle to the T and treat adequately. It's always good too just to keep a bottle of 911 on board. That's in case you do gel up. Comes in a red bottle, Power Service 911. But if you can dump that in your tanks, it can help to re-liquefy, that diesel fuel and get you flowing again. Or at least Road Assist could call out a road service that can get that into your fuel filters. So, that's number one. Obviously, I think there's a lot of other things in brake skidded tires, for example. So as you're parked overnight somewhere, making sure that whenever you get ready and you're doing your pre-trip in the morning, making sure your wheels turn. And I always tell people, if you've got a glove or something as you're walking around your truck and trailer, mark your tires and roll forward a little bit and make sure that we don't have any brake drums that are sticking on, brake shoes that are sticking on the drums, and no frozen up wheels. And so, that's a good one also. I think, be careful if you're running around bobtail anywhere that you've got all the snow and ice out of your fifth wheel whenever you go to couple to a trailer, following the steps, getting that ice and backing up and position your truck, or whenever you back up to a trailer, you lift the trailer up a little bit, and you hear the click, and getting underneath the trailer and looking in the throat of the fifth wheel to make sure that jaw is wrapped all the way around the trailer kingpin, make sure there's no gap in between the trailer and the fifth wheel, make sure the handle's in place, no gap, and do your pull test and you're good. But, we'll sometimes see where operators are bobtailing around that ice and snow jams in there and can create a lot of issues. And then jumper cables, that's always a huge one, some good heavy duty jumper cables, having those on board with you. If you do get stranded somewhere, can't get your truck started, can't get your trailer fired up, or you're having an issue, or your, alternator goes out on your reefer, you can hook up those jumper cables, and at least, buy yourself some time and allow you to get to a shop. So, obviously, lock de-icer is always good to have on hand too, just in case you have a frozen lock or something like that.
Good information right there, man. You can remember all that. That's it. That helps you keep out from being stranded on the side of the road. That's what you
Yeah,
don't want.
and not just on the side of the road, but I think whenever the anti-gel is treated, in your tanks, running your bunk heater a little bit to get some of that anti-gel into your bunk heater. So if you're going to stop for the night, you can assure that you have treated fuel in that bunk heater line, and your APU and your heater's going to work okay.
So, one of the phenomenons, I guess you'll say, with social media, we've got all of these groups, so to speak, that drivers are part of. And, in the safety department, every once in a while, somebody will give us a heads up that, hey, you should check out, this post. And, a lot of times I always see folks trying to get, information from the crowd, so to speak, about, maintenance issues or what's best for this. And I always cringe, but like, man, we've got somebody here that assigned to your fleet that is paid to give you this information. So talk about, kind of what the role is, just for a few minutes, of the road assist advisor for each SBU.
Absolutely. So, on the road assist side, each road assist is assigned a certain number of fleet managers. So, we have small business units, and I know Stan Allman talked about it a couple weeks ago, but, in each small business unit, you've got a road assist advisor, payroll person, and then your dispatchers, and so a road assist advisor, may be responsible from anywhere from 300 to 700 trucks, depending on the board. But you can reach them through the phone. So they have a dedicated phone number that you can find on the Prime app. You can also message them on the phone, send them a message on the Prime app. So Prime app, a phone call, send them a Macro 21 on the Qualcomm. But these are the avenues that you can communicate with them. And the app is a huge win. Being able to send a photo in of a tire. We can tell you if this tire is legal or if it's not, or if you encounter another issue. Photos are worth 1,000 words, and we love to see those and be able to, kind of help, in those cases. So, but the advisor is obviously handling breakdown calls. They're getting these unscheduled events taken care of. They are also following up on any trucks that are down in the shop. So if your truck happens to be down in the shop, they're calling, trying to get an idea as to when we can get you in, or when they can get you in. And if there is a parts issue, getting the reps involved, I think is definitely key at this point, because there are a lot of parts that are on back order, and the reps have the ability to work with their OE and their supplier to get that part overnighted. And those folks are working hard every single day with the advisors to get equipment repaired quickly.
Good deal. Anything you want the folks to know before you get out of here?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me through your fleet manager or road assist advisor if you have any questions. We're here to help, and we want to get you the answer. So.
Awesome.
Pro maintenance class, is that going on, or is that?
It is, yeah.
Okay,
and that's a great point.
Yep.
Yeah, we offer that Tuesdays and Thursdays. 8 a.m. You can sign up through your fleet manager and through your road assist advisor. We are soon going to start that class in Pittston, Pennsylvania. So stay tuned on that. If you're, a regional driver operator out of that Pittston area, we've got the workstations built, and we plan to get that launched in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Eventually down the road, probably Salt Lake too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got Tyler out there.
We've got a great crew out there, and that's definitely on the radar.
Yeah, man. So if you're not very mechanically inclined, take that pro maintenance class, or even if you are, you'll learn something, how to change a light bulb or whatever in some of these trucks.
For sure.
So yeah, definitely makes a big difference. Thank you for coming, Justin.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, man.
Guys.
Have a good day.
Yep.
All right, It's full of knowledge, man.
You talk about, I'm 20 years of trucking experience, but when it comes to maintenance, I've really just got to sit and listen. That's not my strong point. That's not my forte. As a fleet manager, the guy out in Salt Lake City, they stole my superstar, my road assist guy was Tyler Patrick, and literally just anything that we needed, I was able to conference a driver up with him, and secretly I was conferenced in, just listening, trying to learn, and there's not a lot that they don't know. You ask Tyler Patrick, hey, and he's on it right away. He already knows. He's experienced it. He's advised, operators how to, get it taken care of. They know what's going on.
And if they don't, we've got the relationships with our OEs to be able to get it relatively quick. And that's what I've always found too, as well. You're right on, Dennis. That's a good point.
Right on. So, hey, we got one more guest before we get out of here, and nobody likes to call safety. Let's be honest, and me and you get the calls when something bad has happened, whether it be an accident, whether preventable or non-preventable or whatever the case may be. And one accident is too many. All right. But the reality is this is trucking, and this is, what we have to deal with. The other part of that, cargo claims.
Oh, yeah.
One cargo claim is one cargo claim too many. And, we sit next to, cargo claims, physically here in the Z building. So we're going to have Jeff Chisholm, the guy that's in charge of alleviating all those cargo claims, to come up and talk with us here. Come on up, Jeff. The best advice Jeff gave us yesterday. Jeff, what do you want to tell people about cargo claims? He just said, well, let him tell it.
Well, don't have any.
There you go.
Good morning, Prime Team.
Good morning. How
How are
you doing,
you?
Jeff?
Hey, nice to see you.
Good.
Yeah, thanks
So
for coming.
before we dive deep into it, we've had, Oakland here, and he had been here, I think, 15 years, 12 years, something like that, he said. And Kaufman's been here 20 years. I think you may have him beat. How long? Tell us kind of your story, where you came from, and how long you've been here.
Well, I'm on my 24th year.
All right.
Prior to coming into Prime, I worked at Kraft. I was their private fleet dispatcher and load coordinator. In a sense, I've been part of the Prime family for years. My dad actually drove for Mr. Lowe back in the 80s.
Okay.
So I feel like I've been a part of the family for years, and finally found my place here, and it's been great ever since.
Well, good deal. So, kind of like us, you work in a department where basically a lot of the communication is negative. Let's be
Correct.
transparent. Yes. But we're here to serve our drivers and serve our customers. Kind of talk to us a little bit about what drivers can do and what operators can do easily to avoid these major cargo claims.
A lot of it's communication and just due diligence. We need the drivers to really, work on obviously being on time, delivering the product in good condition, and in addition to that, making sure the paperwork's in order. Our biggest claim expense for the cargo side is obviously the accidents. They're a terrible thing. We deal with them. We move forward. We work together on them. Besides that, we have issues with seals. A lot of our meat customers, we see some claims because we don't get our seal records in and out from stop to stop. In addition to that, we see some cargo claims for not having all of our paperwork signed. For example, you might have a meat load with 2 or 3 PO numbers, and they have a bill of lading for each PO number. And we may fail to get one signed or one turned in, and we see claim issues for that. We would always like to remind our drivers to check the trailers very carefully. We ran across that again this morning. No matter what the bills say, no matter what the receiver says, make sure that trailer's empty before you leave that.
We used to call that the morning surprise in dispatch. You get unloaded at 5 a.m., you show up at the trailer wash, pull those doors open, surprise.
There you
There's
go.
a few pallets of product still left in there. And
Absolutely.
of course, you scramble to check your bills, but there's nothing on here about return. They don't have to tell you that there's a claim product, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, they leave that up to us to figure that out.
So, we it's been about 2 months or so, we talked a lot about the live loaded phone call. All right. And of course, that's an operations deal, but it has a lot to do with cargo claims and claim prevention. So kind of give us a little bit from your perspective, about that live loaded phone call and the importance of it.
Well, from our perspective, we can't put enough emphasis on actually checking the bills carefully. And the primary issues we see in the claim department is temperature. I mean, there's a lot of loads that get sent out to drivers, and our sales group may think that we're picking up, let's say, maybe a -10 load, but we get to that shipper, and all of a sudden they put a 34-degree load on the bills. If our driver is not checking that bills and verifying that temperature, we're going to end up with a cargo claim. And next to accidents, those are actually the second biggest expense that we have. because I mean, if we run load at the wrong temp, we're probably going to lose that load. So I would certainly encourage our drivers to take that seriously. Do not assume that your load assignment is always right. We have to check the bill of lading. We have to run the load according to the bill of lading. Otherwise, we could face some serious consequences.
That's a good point, Jeff, because I think we've even had problems before. The driver's not looking at the bills and taking the load, and the information we send them where you're going isn't the location it says on the bills. And next thing you know, we're going to a different. Our truck's heading one way, and the bills say something different.
Yeah, we've run across that a few times as well. Those are certainly
those
challenging.
bills are a legal document, right?
And they're embarrassing situations too.
So that's
but,
it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we have an obligation to make sure our loads get to the customer in good condition, and certainly, being the experts in refrigerated trucking, I mean, that should be our number one objective. Check the temperature and make sure we're running that load at the right temp.
Yeah.
Back to the basics.
All the information
That's
is important. And I used to tell my drivers, it's all about checks and balances.
Yes.
Nobody in here is perfect. If you've got a sales coordinator or assistant putting in information, they may make a keying error. As much information as they put in, it may be a situation when the customers made an error, or lo and behold, when it's -2 below and snowing and cold and 2 a.m. when you get loaded, Shelbyville, Tennessee and Shelbyville, Indiana look a lot alike. So it's important that we have that checks and balances process in place, so that if we do have an error, we can discover it at one of the different levels at some point.
Correct.
So if there's let's talk about how the cargo claims department is kind of compromised. Right now, due to COVID, you got some folks that are work from home, and you got some folks in the office. You got some folks in Pittston, Pennsylvania. Kind of tell us how you got that broke down.
Well, we have 8 full-time cargo associates that deal with the OS&D calls that come in daily. Their job and my job is to provide service for our drivers, provide service for our operations team. We are doing a mixture of work at home and work from the office. We're being very cautious. We don't want a COVID outbreak among the entire department.
Yeah, because y'all right next to us.
Yeah.
You're not trying to.
We're looking out for you guys.
Appreciate it.
But we don't want the whole department shut down. So primarily we have most of our group at home, but we always have an in-house presence to service our drivers, provide, face-to-face contact when they come in here. So we can always provide assistance when needed. It'll be limited, but myself, I'm here every day. We always have, 1 or 2 of our other group here every day. We just kind of try to keep everybody separated, keep everybody healthy.
Good deal. You're kind of like us. We've basically been here every day battling through it. We kicked one guy out because he had COVID for about a week, but he's back, and so we definitely appreciate you being here every day. 7 inches of snow, you haven't missed a beat. So.
Well, I think it's important that the cargo and safety team work together, and
awesome.
That's part of it. And like I said, our drivers are out there dealing with this stuff, and certainly we want to try to be in here and provide as much service as possible for them.
Awesome. Anything you want to share with our 4 million viewers before you get out of here?
I just want to thank everybody on the Prime team, and again, just please be safe in this winter weather. Drive carefully. Check your bills, check your loads. Let's get through this as claim-free as we can.
Awesome. Hey, appreciate you being with us.
Good.
All right,
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man. Yep.
Hey,
Man, we've had a good meeting, I think.
we've
so
had
far.
some 10s up here today.
There's no doubt. I don't know what we're doing sitting here, but
Yeah.
they are, no doubt. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So, as we close, typically we would have, Robert and Steve come up and close us out. But, they've already come in here and grace the group. They've got some business to handle, so we let them go on about their business.
Business is business. Let them do it. So,
one
one thing I like to say at the end, remember our veterans. We always, we're very proud of our veterans here at Prime. Or anybody served in the military, thank you for your service. If you have family members, loved ones that are serving currently stateside or overseas, thank you very much for their service as well. So, big kudos.
Good deal.
Anything else you got, ma'am?
That's all we got.
Okay.
Next week we're going to try to mix it up a little bit.
Maybe a little driver health and wellness.
Driver health and wellness. Maybe we can get over to the plaza. Hopefully the weather's decent.
We'll see what happens. And see if we can move on over there. So Definitely.
Hey, man, appreciate you being
Thank you.
with
Same here,
today.
Des. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody joining us today. Thank you for what you do. God bless you. Have a great day.